Hi, I'm Mary, and today I'm going to tell you a story I kept silent about for 20 years until today you clicked on this video because you want to know what I hid for so long and why I finally decided to break the silence and share everything with you. But let me warn you, there's a twist in the middle of this story that you won't see coming before we start. Please hit that subscribe button and help us reach our goal. Now let me take you back to where it all began and why this secret stayed locked inside me for 2 whole decades. Stay with me because this story is about courage, fear, and a truth that changed my life forever. I remember exactly the moment when everything changed. It was not just a day, it was a feeling, a whisper inside me telling me to stay quiet no matter what. I was just a young woman back then trying to live my life. But that one secret that I kept locked deep inside became heavier, every year heavier, until it almost crushed me. And for 20 years I lived with this weight. I could not tell anyone, not my family, not my friends, not even myself. Because the truth was terrifying and the consequences too. Risky to face. I promised myself to protect those I loved by keeping silent. But in that silence, I lost pieces of me that no one ever saw. I felt alone, scared, and trapped, as if the walls were closing in around me. The fear of what could happen if the secret came out was stronger than my desire to be free from it. I tried to forget, but memories never disappear completely. They hide in the corners of your mind, waiting for the right moment to surface. And today is that moment, the moment I stop running from the past and finally tell the whole story. You might think this is just another story about a secret. Well, it's not. This is a story about what happens when silence becomes a prison, and what happens when you finally find the courage to open the door and step out into the light. But before we get to the heart of it, I want you to think about this. Have you ever kept something so deep inside that it changed who you are? Maybe you have, and maybe that's why you are here listening now, because you want to hear what happened, what I did, and how I survived this long without breaking down. In the middle of this journey, I will share everything with you, every fear, every doubt, every tear, and every moment I wanted to give up, but didn't. I will also share the unexpected twist that changed everything and made me see the truth in a way I never imagined. So, if you are ready to listen, if you want to know what I hid in the dark for 20 years, then stay with me until the end, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think about keeping secrets and facing your fears. This story is for you and for everyone who believes that sometimes the hardest battles are fought in silence, and sometimes the strongest voices are the ones that finally break that silence. Now, let's move forward, and I promise you the journey will be worth it. Now, let me give you a little more context, so you can understand where I was coming from. Back then, I was just a normal girl living in a small town with a close family life. Nothing seemed out of place or suspicious. Everything looked calm, peaceful on the outside. But inside, I was already carrying a secret that would change my whole world. I grew up with people I trusted, people I loved, and I believed they were trustworthy. But the truth is that sometimes the people closest to us are the ones hiding the darkest secrets. This secret that I kept for 20 years involved someone very important to me, someone I thought I knew completely, but I was wrong. And that's what made the silence even harder to keep, because when you love someone and discover something terrible about them, it creates a storm inside you. One part wants to protect the person, and the other wants to scream the truth to the world. I wasn't sure what to do. I was scared, confused, and alone. And to make things worse, I had no one to turn to, no one who could understand or help me without risking everything. I felt trapped in a silent prison, the kind of prison where every day is a struggle and every night brings new nightmares. But the more I tried to push it away, the more it consumed me. And that's why I stayed silent for so long, because speaking out could have destroyed not only me, but everyone I cared about. Now I know that silence isn't always protection. Sometimes it's just another form of pain. But back then I didn't know that yet, and this is only the beginning of the story. So stay with me, because as things unfold you will see why this secret was so dangerous and what happened when I finally chose to stop hiding from it. The secret I carried wasn't just a small mistake or a simple misunderstanding. It was something so deep, so complicated, that revealing it could shatter my whole world and the worlds of those around me. For years, I felt like I was walking on eggshells, afraid that one wrong move could cause everything to collapse. I tried to live normally, but the weight of that secret made it almost impossible. I was constantly torn between wanting to protect the people I loved and needing to protect myself from the damage it could cause. Every decision I made was influenced by that silence, and every relationship was touched by it without them knowing. The more time passed, the more isolated I felt, like I was living a double life, one where I pretended everything was fine, and another where I was drowning in fear and doubt. And then came the moment when everything changed. Something unexpected happened that shook my world to its core and made me realize that I could no longer keep quiet. It was a moment filled with shock, confusion, and pain, but also the beginning of a journey I wasn't prepared for. It was when I discovered a truth hidden beneath the surface, a truth that made me question everything I thought I knew and the people I trusted. It was a plot twist I never saw coming, and it turned my silence into a cage I desperately needed to escape. But escaping wouldn't be easy. Because this story is not just about one secret, it's about how that secret connected to other lies, betrayals, and unexpected alliances, and how one person's silence can change the fate of many. So stay with me as I tell you what happened next, because this is where the real story begins. For years, I carried this secret in silence, believing it was my shield, but little did I know it was also my prison. And as life went on, the burden grew heavier, and the challenges more complex. Every day was a test of my strength, and every moment a battle with my own fears. I watched as relationships cracked, and people I loved drifted away, without understanding why. And there were times when I thought I couldn't hold on any longer, but I did. Because deep inside, I hoped for a day when the truth could be spoken without fear. That day seemed impossible for so long until a twist changed everything. Unexpectedly, someone from my past reappeared, a person I never expected to see again, and with them came revelations that shook the very foundation of what I believed to be true. This person brought secrets of their own secrets that intertwined with mine in ways that confused me and forced me to see things from a new perspective. It was like a puzzle, with missing pieces finally coming together, and this made me question not only my silence, but everything and everyone around me. It was a moment of despair, but also of clarity, because sometimes the hardest battles are fought in the shadows, and the bravest step is to face the light, even when it hurts so much. That's when I understood that keeping silent was no longer an option, but breaking that silence meant facing a storm far worse than I imagined. But if I wanted freedom, if I wanted peace, I had to be brave and face it head on. This is the moment my journey took a turn, and I hope you're ready to follow me, because the story only gets more intense from here. The moment I realized I had to break my silence was the hardest decision I ever made. I knew it would change everything, and I wasn't sure if I was strong enough to face the consequences, but the weight of silence had become unbearable. It was like carrying a mountain on my shoulders, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I remember feeling a mix of fear, doubt, and relief all at the same time. My mind was racing with questions. What would happen when I spoke out? Who would believe me? Who would turn their back? And would I ever be able to forgive myself for all the years I stayed quiet? But despite all these fears, I knew that silence was no longer protecting anyone, and that the truth deserved to be heard. So I gathered every ounce of courage and started to prepare myself for the storm I was about to face. It wasn't easy. Every step was a challenge, and every conversation felt like walking through fire. But with each word spoken, I felt a little lighter and a little freer. I began to understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to move forward despite it. And then came the moment of truth, the moment when I finally shared the secret with someone I trusted, someone who could help me. And it was then that the story took a turn again, because the person I confided in surprised me in a way I never expected. Their reaction revealed a side of the story I had no idea existed, a side that changed everything I thought I knew. And this unexpected twist forced me to rethink my whole journey and prepared me for what was yet to come. The truth is never simple, and the path to freedom is rarely straight, but I promise you it's worth it. And as I continue to tell you this story, you'll see why breaking my silence was the beginning of a new chapter, not the end of the pain. So stay with me, because the best is yet to come. When I finally spoke out, the consequences hit me harder than I ever imagined. It wasn't just about telling a secret, it was about facing a reality that no one was ready to accept. The people I trusted reacted in ways that shocked me, some with anger, others with disbelief, and some with silence that was louder than any words. But what really surprised me was learning that the person I thought was the villain in this story had reasons behind their actions, reasons I never considered before. This revelation turned my world upside down and made me question everything again. And then there was someone else close to me, someone I thought was my ally, who turned out to be hiding their own dark secret. This second twist in the story revealed how deeply tangled and complicated our lives really were. It was like peeling back layers of an onion, with each revelation bringing tears, pain, but also understanding and healing. The truth was messy, painful, but necessary. And as the dust settled, I realized that this story was not just about me, but about many others affected by the silence and lies. And in the midst of all this chaos, I found a strange kind of strength, a strength born from vulnerability and truth. And that's the moment when the story reached its most intense point, the climax, where everything changed and nothing would ever be the same again. I promise you this part will keep you on the edge of your seat, because it's when the real battle for truth, courage, and freedom began. So keep listening, because what comes next will surprise you. After everything came to light, my life didn't suddenly become easy. In fact, the days that followed were some of the hardest I ever faced. I had to confront not only the reactions of others, but also my own feelings of guilt, shame, and fear. Rebuilding trust and relationships felt like walking through fire, every step uncertain and painful. But slowly, little by little, I started to find peace within myself. I realized that silence had kept me trapped, but truth was the key to freedom. And even though the journey was far from over. I felt stronger and more alive than ever before. I learned that sometimes the people we think are our enemies have reasons we don't understand, and sometimes the ones we trust the most carry their own secrets. But what matters in the end is how we choose to face the truth and live with it. This story doesn't end here. There is still more to uncover, more lessons to learn, and more courage to find. And I want you to know that no matter how dark your secret feels, no matter how heavy your silence weighs, you are not alone, and there is always hope for a new beginning. So thank you for listening to my story. I hope it touched you and made you think about your own secrets and fears. And if you liked this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget, there is another video waiting for you on the screen now, so check it out, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed hearing my story and want to support the channel, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps us grow and bring you more stories just like this. And I want to invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever kept a secret that changed your life or struggled with breaking your silence? I would love to know your story and connect with you. And if you want to keep watching, there is another video popping up on the screen right now that I think you will really like, so don't miss it. Click and keep the journey going. Thank you so much for being here with me today. It means more than you know. And until next time, take care. And remember that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to speak your truth. Goodbye.